broke, sick of being broke. Sick of being broke, sick of being broke. Sick of being broke, sick of being broke. I'm sick of it, sick of it. Sometimes I can't turn off my brain, trying to figure out if I'm to blame. Cause money's late even though I do my part.
On that, oh, I realized early on financial literacy brings so many more benefits. And one of them being the fact that you gain a lot more opportunity for generations. For me, like I said earlier, I'm second generation. And I got to see my family handle money completely different than what my classmates or any other of my friends would handle money because we had a business on the side. Everybody in my family has business, both my siblings, and most of our businesses are service based. And because of that, we have to have a different mindset when it comes into handling your money. Oh, yes, when you grow up hearing about it, it makes a complete difference. Kayla said, I agree. Definitely something I grew up always knowing. Take care of your money or else. And I absolutely agree. My dad was one of those people who said money doesn't grow on trees. And anybody else have those quotes from growing up around? I guess my parents are boomers, so they have a little more quotes than other people. Um, but I'm just curious. Anybody else have quotes growing up that kind of changed how they looked at money today? Couple people in the chat. Appreciate you coming through. But for me, money doesn't grow on trees. One of those that I even tell my dad today that like you have that stuck in my head. Like that is absolutely something that I feel like I can literally look at a tree and be like, technically, I can make some money from this. You got McDonald's money. Absolutely. I feel like that one is something I even today is I'm not even realizing like I don't go to Zaxby's when I want to go to Zaxby's, but sometimes I'm like, do I have that money in bank account? No, I need to go home. Like, there's money at the crib. There's money at the crib. There's food at the crib. And sometimes you just have to take advantage of what you already put your money invested into. So if there's money at home, I understand why my mom was always saying she already unthawed the chicken. She already did the hard work. Now she just has to go home and cook it. So I know for me, um, I have been in, I guess, in the zone when it comes to finances for a while, but I haven't realized and taken that step back to, to be like, oh yeah, these quotes don't affect me. Oh no, these quotes still affect me today. And that's one of those parts of even just joking around with my boyfriend. Both of us have boomer parents. And like I said, there's quotes. They got quotes for days. But when it comes to your money, why are there so many quotes other than just educating us? There's more tactics out there to scare you away from getting your money in order than it is to push you to get it in order. And that's why I want to create the change and really make it a normalcy for us to talk finances. And one more thing that benefits, certain benefits you come from having the financial literacy background is learning how to save money. And that is definitely what a couple things we're going to get into. I'm going to turn my screen around for those who are on TikTok to let them know that, hey, I have a whole presentation. So as I turn this around, bear with me. But I also feel like financial literacy, there are certain aspects you should know. When it comes to finances, there are certain topics, certain communications, not communications, but there's certain words that you'll see that not everybody understands. And for me, I have three words I feel like everybody should have in their vocabulary and or they should be aware of. And one of them is personal finances. I feel like sometimes people see a lot of financial things as a trending topic now that we actually don't get the opportunity to understand the true meaning behind the words. So this is a definition of personal finance. The financial management that an individual or family unit performs to, excuse me, the financial management that an individual or family unit performs to budget, save, and spend monetary resources to a controlled manner. So the controlled aspect is knowing your numbers, taking to account various financial risks and future life events happen. Everybody has these certain things that sometimes you can't even explain to others, but there's definitely things when it comes to getting your personal finances in order that allow you to get ahead of it and not be behind. So one of them is that management of your money. Some people see it more as a almost like a taboo, and or they see it more as an aspect that, oh no, this isn't for me. I rather not think about it. But the longer you don't think about it, less time you're actually managing your money and you're running from anything close to actually having that source of management over it. The other word I already mentioned before, your spending monetary resources, is that budget. Having controlled and understanding what a budget is. Once again, a trending topic right now, and a lot of people, even myself, has it in Budgets by Joy. But there's more to just the budget. A budget is a plan you write down to decide how you will spend your money each month. Not every week, not every detail. Sometimes life happens, but you have to think about the breakdown of how it really affects your money every month. For me, I have a monthly check in with my boyfriend. We also check on each other. We're each other's accountability partners. But I'm curious, anybody else have accountability partners? And if you don't, you do now because I'm here for you. And all the emails that you've got for today are led you to this opportunity of getting in front of me as somebody who already understands how a budget works. So I want to know, have you actually had a budget before, or have you made a budget and didn't really stick to it? Yes, I love the accountability. I feel like accountability definitely makes a difference in how your everyday spending truly happens. I love it. Hey, Ashley, thanks for coming in. But yes, I agree, Jada. Because sometimes budgets feel like there's no room for life to happen. And I agree. Sometimes people see the budget as honestly the almost like hesitation, speed bumps that kind of come in play. But reality is that budget is keeping you in line for your goals. So, how many of you have actually wrote down your goals and put a number beside those goals? So sometimes, if you want the wardrobe to match your personality, do you know how much it's going to cost to change your wardrobe? Or do you even know that cost of getting that dream car you want? Having a budget in mind is not necessarily keeping you at a chokehold of your money, but it's teaching you how to manage your money so you can get to those goals that you actually have. And the last topic on here is pay yourself first. I am a stickler for letting you know, did you save today? Did you check in your bank account? Because sometimes we neglect actually doing the little things for ourselves. We will make sure everybody else is good, everybody else is fine. But how many times are we actually checking our bank account to make sure the taxes were correct in your last payroll check? Or how many of us are actually making sure that we have an automated savings every time you get paid? For me, that is one thing that I have done in a while back, that paying myself first is exactly what I do as soon as I get paid. So for me, Thursdays is when I got paid. I have an automated savings situated to where that 70% is going to go into my savings without hesitations, because I have Thursday is that fun money. Friday's check is totally different. And even those who pay yourself first aspect, when it comes to contracts, there's a certain percentage you can put aside if you are getting paid differently than other people. We just have to talk it out and understand paying yourself first really isn't difficult if you are prioritizing yourself and your goals. So the definition of paying yourself first, the goal is to make sure that enough income is first saved or invested before monthly expenses are distributed for other purchases. So the goal is putting that money back because we have a job for a reason. That job should absolutely be enough to make sure we get to the next day. That job is making sure we're getting enough paid. But at the same time, are you sure that you're paying yourself first in that process? Have you actually looked to put money into your bank account? Just curious. Hey there. Yes, appreciate you, Ashley. I love the fact that we're good with budgeting around here. I love it. But sometimes, even myself, I get behind. My boyfriend will have to check me because if we get to the 17th and we haven't done like a real check in, doing full numbers, we know we've gone too far into the month and all the bills are about to hit us. And so we've learned to keep each other accountable through the process. So I want you to take a deep breath because we're about to get into the topics. Inhale in, take a deep breath out, and find yourself a positive affirmation on this next slide that resonates with you. Not everything is actually going to say, like, oh, yeah, this is perfectly for me. But there's a lot of things when it comes to personal finance, it's a mental game. And if you aren't preparing yourself to talk to yourself positively around your finances, it will also show when it comes to your finances. So, have you said no to somebody because you know we're saving money? Do you manifest wealth? Or are you only thinking about the next paycheck, the next paycheck? There's certain things when it comes to positive affirmations around your money. Even checking your bank account with a smile will change how you look at your money each and every time. So, we have our deep breath, we have our affirmation. My end goal is to have multiple streams of income, and I love it. I know for me, that's the exact same. So, poll question. Currently, are you tracking your money on a notebook, spreadsheet, a budgeting app, and or any accounting software? I'm just curious, or are you not tracking at all? For me, I love a spreadsheet. Just saying. Spreadsheets for me is exactly what you'll leave here with today for free. So those who are on TikTok side, DM me later, and I will absolutely make sure you get that opportunity. And or if go into my link in my bio to learn and get on the newsletters, so you are part of the next emails that go out. Because those who are part of today's events will also get a free budget. So I'm curious. Spreadsheet, we're getting spreadsheets, little A and little B. So those who are manually doing, are those moments, are you trying to kind of just get it out the way and realizing you just not get to the next check? Or are you thinking more of, I just need to know what's in my account right now? Because sometimes those are the questions you need to ask of why you have your money in multiple places. For me, I also have an app and a spreadsheet, but for me, my app is something that should do everything right, but my spreadsheet is the exact down to the dollar. And also, those who are on Zoom, don't ever hesitate to ask questions. But I'm also curious, what challenges do you face when trying to stick to a budget? Because right now, even myself, like I said, I'll get to the 17th and realize, oh, I haven't done my full budget. Like, I know my money's coming in, but have I made sure that everything else is going out properly? So, what challenges do you see, or what challenges do you feel like could change with my help? Because we're going to get into a little bit more about budgeting. But I'm just curious, what do you feel like are your current situations? Spreadsheets have been helpful. I love it. See, the app, I love a good app mainly because I have an app of my own, and it has everything when it comes to personal finance and your full financial wealth. So I am a stickler for an app. I actually did my research and downloaded over 20 apps, budgeting apps, because I realized there's not a perfect app out there. So I understand if the apps kind of get behind you or something you don't stick with either. Totally understand. Ooh, you like to write it down in a journal. I love that. Seeing it also makes a difference in how you treat your money too. Because when you physically write down what you have money remaining, that's one of those mental things that go into your brain that we got money, we have food at the house, or we don't need to go to McDonald's today. There's certain things that kind of put a different rewiring in your brain when you actually realize that you're writing it down and seeing it every single month. So if you don't already, I want you to think about it going into this next month. We are going to make changes in our budget, and I know we can. Oh, like I said, I'm in this conference room. Okay. So, budgeting and tracking our expenses. My question to you, when you think about budgeting, do you actually have a layout in mind, or do you have just the same thing that your parents have told you about budgeting, and it's kind of been the same? I feel that. Last app, some of those apps definitely are not made for like a non-financial brain, I also will say. But there's simple steps to creating your budget. Let's calculate your income, track your expenses, categorizing your spending, and also setting your financial goals. In the spreadsheet that you get today, you also will have a goal tracker as well. And I'm excited to actually see the difference of how. Oh, did I unmute myself? Oh, excuse me. I am excited mainly because the little things that are changing in today is we have a lot of budgeting as a topic. People actually say budgeting more than we realize that I feel like we've ever had before. And I love it that sometimes we just have to keep it simple. So any questions around expenses, tracking, would you like an app or would you actually prefer keeping what you have going on? What is your comfort level when it comes to just your money? See, a Google Sheet will go a long way. That's exactly what I'm sharing today. I love a good Google Sheet. Me personally, I think I could do a Google Sheet for every single thing. My brother called me the other day. He's like, I need a spreadsheet for this. Can you help me out? By the end of our phone call, he had a new spreadsheet and it was emailed to him. That's literally how my brain works. Spreadsheets, I'm truly an accountant. I will say that. So when it comes to, yes, so there's multiple ways also when it comes to budgeting, there's different types of budgeting. And that's one thing you have to learn more about yourself. I'm curious if you know your love language. For me, I am a quality time person. So that means I need to spend time with my budget. So my friends who are that tangible, they need the physical touch, they need to go over there and get the money out the bank account, hold the money and not swipe because they care less about swiping. So I'm just kind of curious, what style of budgeting fits you? Oh, words of affirmation. Okay. So words of affirmation is exactly why the quotes and taking a deep breath are necessary. Even when it comes to words of affirmation, I think the best thing you could do is actually doing envelope challenge and or doing the 50-30-20. The separate, they're different things. So envelope system, words of affirmations, if that is your love language, every single envelope, put a message on there of what you're saving that money for. Even if it's $1, put on the envelope and say, we're a millionaire next week. Put your affirmations into play. But you have to do it by also saving money and putting it into an envelope all at the same time. Acts of service. See, that's my second one. So I absolutely relate. When it comes to acts of service, it's time for you to do the exact same thing. You need to put a splurge account and a donation account into your budget. And I say that with love because right now you're doing it from your heart and you're wasting your money. So your act of service is definitely where you need to think about paying yourself first because that is not first nature for you. You need to do things for yourself that you would do for everybody else. So physical touch, and that's the thing. A lot of people are rare with cash these days, but I have another way you can delegate. So physical touch, you can also delegate by saying and having multiple cards. So you can have a card separated on one card, another card dedicated to your gas, and another card dedicated towards your spending. But you need to separate it and never have everything on one account because that's when your bill money and your splurge money overlap. Oh, this is a love language is absolutely a theory. I feel like is absolutely a reason why the holistic part is in my financial structure because everybody is different, but at the same time, finances are not changing, but we have to learn how to change for who we are. So another way, those who are physical touch, hide money from yourself. Find a jar, put it in that jar every single time you have an extra $5 bill or extra $10 bill. But there's multiple ways to make sure your money sticks around. So for me, I do all these methods. I am telling you from all experiences that all these work because I've done it myself. The saving $5, I actually just was able to count that up the other day and I had $175 and didn't even realize. The envelope system, I also have for my affirmations because I'm getting a car. So I delegate the different systems for myself for different goals I have. So there's different ways to actually manage your money without ever going all the way out of your bank account and think about how you need to handle it all. Just sometimes take a deep breath, step back, and realize your certain characteristics of what you already do are exactly what you need to put in play for your money. I love it. Ones and fives. Yes, I need to actually do a change jar now that I'm using cash again because I feel like I have just change in random pockets. And that's another thing. Just putting money aside allows you to make good habits early on that you would never even think about later on. Just checking the chat here. Anybody have these questions? Just let me know. Ooh, gift cards for my birthday. I love that. So I have another poll. So those who also just coming in, let me know what your love language is, and let me know how I can also let you know how we can handle our money. So the next poll question is, do you have an emergency fund? Sometimes emergency fund can be that jar. Sometimes the emergency fund is the $5 bill stashed away. But the other side that I was talking about before, the physical touch and having multiple cards, is also another way to create emergency fund for yourself by hiding it in your own bank accounts. Yes, I feel like everybody needs that car money too. That simple put $5, $10 in a car, you never know what will happen, is also an emergency fund. So sometimes when everybody says that $1,000, the $2,000 is what your emergency fund should be, you also have to think about your goals and how the emergency is made, is really put in place. So I see a couple people say they're working on it. It definitely takes discipline. I agree. And so they have emergency fund. Oh man. Yeah, life is life in. I feel that. Yes, when you have the money prepared for all the emergencies, it makes a difference, especially when it comes to the thought process of if you didn't, your mental also is affected by that. So I'm curious, what are your short-term goals and your long-term goals when it comes to your finances? Are you looking at things right now in a state of is all short-term, or are you thinking retirement, retirement, retirement? I'll have it later on in life. Sometimes that also mentality will change how you spend your money too. So I'm curious. You're afraid of losing money? Jada, money always comes to us. That is an affirmation we need to start saying. Never be afraid of anything financially because finances, if you put a scarcity emotion around that, it will also lead into how you spend it and also how you hoard it. Spending cash. I love that. Working on it, working on it. Okay, so this is a budget breakdown that you'll get for free today. And within this breakdown, I actually have it color coordinated for you to think about those who are physical touch type of people, how you need to break down your spending into different categories. So we have our bills account. We need to know our due date. We need to know the amount and also keeping track of your debt. That's all things that have due dates you need to keep track of. But I also would say when it comes to the breakdown of having your money is thinking about the long-term and short-term goals along the way. And when it comes to this free budget, as you plug in your numbers of your expenses, you'll get a total and totals up down here for you. But this emergency here is actually going to show you the fact that as you're going through this, it will show you what your emergency savings really should be. So 3 months of savings or 3 months of emergency savings will actually be 3 times your expenses down here. So this will total on its own. So you don't have to do that math. And also it prepares you for taxes. So some of us who think about taxes only once a year, this is one of those moments where if you had to pay in the past, this is how you get ahead. So the breakdown is also, once again, in the green, we're saving separately from our spending account or splurging. And all these aspects, all these totals will always be down here. So as you plug it along the way, it's done for you. But also your income, as you plug it in bi-weekly, monthly, salary, however it may be, make sure you add your due dates. These are two different places. Your bills and your income coming in are essential to put your due dates in and the dates that are there, because those are always going to be crucial at the end term. Sorry for moving my phone too much there. But I want you to see the breakdown also, once again, in the color coordinated situation. So if you are spending gas money, groceries, drive through, the kids' money is not going to be in the same account as your splurge, your personal money, and your tithing. And once again, for those who are acts of service, Miss Jada, this is where you would add in that donation line, because we act of service, we need to make sure we're giving back and also having a donation pull, like envelope to pull from, because we should not come out of our pockets every single time we have a good heart and want to donate to somebody. That should also be in our how we break it down. Even daycare, you know, that expense is not going to change. Your car insurance aren't changing. Certain things will not change. We just got to put it into place and put the due dates on there, because the due dates are why certain people get behind and the credit gets affected, is because we don't know our due dates. That is essential when it comes to just making sure that we're being the adults and getting ahead of certain things, because sometimes that we're paying ahead of a bill that's not due for another month just because we got scared because we got behind one day. That scarcity, once again, is how you it comes into play more than you realize. So you have to have a positive mindset anytime you're dealing with your funds. I love the fact you have a donation line item. Yes. Yes. Your heart has led you to put that line item there and you didn't even know it. But that's how you are also not going broke, having a good heart. So the next slide, I think I have another poll coming in. Just curious. Oh, no. Reality. Saving. So I know some of us have the same mentality when it comes to saving. If we have it, we'll save. And that is exactly what I want us to change today. We're no longer going to play the game of if, ands, or wins. It's time for us to treat savings as a quality thing that we want to be around. Saving and investing requires discipline, as well as making sure that you have the mental to stick with it. Sometimes investing, you have to think about the long haul. When it comes to saving for short-term things, you also have to think about that discipline to say, I don't need to go here and I don't need to go there, because our goals are what we're prioritizing right now. So, any of you actually taking any risk in investing, or is that something you want to get to next? Just curious. Because some of us are doing the little things with our business, with our own 401k and other things like that. But in the long haul, I want to make sure we're thinking about everything. And savings requires that mental place. So even when it comes to, once again, running it back to your love language, the quality time type of person, when it comes to saving, do you actually think about savings, or do you think about it secondary? Investing, all these things also coming back to the question I had before. Your love language also relates to how you're saving your money. Don't go broke having a good heart. Absolutely. I love that. You have a high yield savings account. I love it. Yes. So I will say, my dad has always been one of those people who told me about high yield savings account early on, and just always keep an eye on it. The reason why I love telling people check on your money, because there's sometimes it plays with the stocks too, and you don't want your money to ever just sit there and be neglected. So always check on your money. Yes, automated savings coming out every month. That is beautiful. I love it. This is the people I need in my life. I'm proud of y'all, truly. But there always are risks when it comes to certain things. I'm just kind of curious, what are the strategies you have when it comes to paying down your debt? And sometimes not everybody has the same amount of debt, but what is it that is sitting on your heart, a challenge that you may have right now when it comes to just making sure you're managing your money and sticking ahead? Because that good old credit score you have, that's your adult GPA. At the end of the day, those numbers matter. And are you prepared in saving and preparing to pay down these debts? Just curious. For me, I only have credit card debt right now. Once again, I share my story early on that I do not have student loans. Had luxury of many scholarships and lots of other things when it comes to to avoid student loans. I'm the baby in the family, and my dad made sure that that was not something that he wanted any of us to have that worry for. But he also taught us about personal loans along the way. Did anybody else learn about loans or anything else before you turn 18? Credit cards, yep. So credit card debt, the best advice I would always say is pick your way of choosing that challenge and decreasing that debt when it comes to credit card. It's a choice. Sometimes I will say, like, we got here, now we got to get out. Credit card is also where my money is, where I got to pay down some debt myself. But the goal is making sure that debt is actually being able to get there and not keep swiping and ending up in the exact same place, which also requires a mindset. I actually had a program for a couple of years where I helped out a non-for-profit, helping those who were in the housing system get and manage their debt. Appreciate you. And within this time frame, I learned that because we weren't taught about financial literacy early on, a lot of our elders, a lot of people now are dealing with it on the other end. And unfortunately, that means that they've learned some bad habits and they're constantly repeating it. And that's one thing I don't want us to ever get there. See, I wish it was sorry. Jada said personal finance was offered in her school. That was not something that was offered in my school. I actually took accounting in high school, but I cannot say I took personal finance. Um, I learned how to cut a check because of my family business. There's so many things I feel like the education is key to creating certain things. So I will say when it comes to my high school, I'm running as soon as I get my financial literacy curriculum and everything done. That is one place I'm returning because financial literacy should be in every high school. I absolutely agree. That is definitely why, like I said, financial literacy should be a normalcy for everyone. I love that though. So there's two different ways to pay down some debt. I will say avalanche and the snowball method. Within the avalanche method, that is really you are seeking the high interest, the big payouts, the certain things that you feel like are dragging you down at the highest interest, and you're only paying on the interest and not truly the principal. That it means you need to take that on the avalanche method and let's pay down those first. The bigger the interest rate, the bigger you're going to be sticking around that debt for a little bit longer. But there's not just doing it that way. There's also snowball method. Within snowball method, it's the slow method, I will say, but the same mentality of paying down your smallest loans first, but also picking things up and making sure that you're paying off everything at the end of the day. I will say, once again, that credit score is your adult GPA. And if you don't feel like you are positive or in a good state, it's going to be making it harder for you to get a car, harder for you to get a house, and harder for you to really build that long generational wealth. So it takes time, but it also absolutely takes you to be in a good mind state and also forgive yourself for any mistakes you make along the way. Because it takes you getting to that mental state to understand it takes you to get over this hump. And it also takes sometimes extra accountability or somebody there to help you along the way. So don't ever hesitate to ask me if you need help or process or just to talk it out. Sometimes that literally is all you need. But sometimes you also have to forgive yourself of even getting into this place because we weren't always taught. And a couple people in the chat appreciate you. I wish I learned about finances when I was younger. My mom was not a good model. And a lot of us, fun fact, I will say, if you don't know, I actually created an ebook for young adults. And in the whole point of creating that process, I did a lot of research and learned that a lot of our financial characteristics and other things around our finances, we got those characteristics from our parents. And we learned those and adapted to those before we were even age of 7. So once again, you have to forgive yourself because before age 7, I was never thinking about my entrepreneurial journey. I promise you. But I also appreciate the fact that I had parents who had the entrepreneurial background to teach and educate for me. Yes, I agree. Um, yes, financial education, if it the earlier the better. I absolutely say that I'm a former nanny and a former Girl Scout leader. And my goal is to make sure the next generation is good and don't have the same issues that we do. And I say that with my whole heart because we have all been in a state of mind of knowing that there could be a different tier level of your money or there could be something better, but we never knew how to get there. So it took a lot of time, a lot of research, and my goal is to absolutely change the narrative of what we have and make sure our kids are good. But yeah, in the research, age 7, age 7, it almost broke my heart because my nephew is 7 now and realizing, okay, he only has known that we're putting money into his savings account. He hasn't really touched a lot of money. He just knows he's good. But when it comes to just other kids his age, I'm sure they think about and stress about the same stresses that their parents are thinking about when it comes to bills. So those are things you think about now. For me, it's like, oh, I'm not a mom yet. So I got to put that into play when I get to that tier of my own life, next level, because I wish I knew that earlier on too. But we're changing things. So next question I have for you. Um, when it comes to financial education, how often do you read or engage in financial education? Do you do it daily? Do you do it whenever it comes scrolls across your screen? What is it right now that you feel like you actually are getting ahead and actually participating in educating yourself around finances? Yeah, personal was catered to the typical 9 to 5. I absolutely agree. Everything is catered to the 9 to 5ers. And that's why I feel like the new age of entrepreneurs, we're showcasing that there's more than just one way to skin a cat. But yeah, and listen, being taught also by what not to do is also a thing. So D, rarely. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Bi-weekly, good to know. Love that. So I actually have a couple suggestions. I actually put at the end of my book for the kids, young adults, but I also will send that reference page to all of you today as well. But there's so much financial education out there, from books to resources. And honestly, my goal is to create my own. So I'm creating right now a kids workbook, and that is actually my other book that I have launched ebook now. But there's so many other ways to educate yourself. If you are an entrepreneur, I absolutely suggest you to read Profit First. It teaches you how to delegate your money in a percentage point of view, similar to what I showed you earlier today with the budget breakdown. Think and Grow Rich. I have read so many different versions of this that I feel like everybody should read it. Um, Napoleon is absolutely the person that Napoleon Hill, he is the original book author, but there's many more versions of it now. I think I have the Black entrepreneur version, and there's another one for women. There's so many versions of Think and Grow Rich, but it's absolutely something you should read. When it comes to personal finance for young adults, I'm curious, any moms or any other aunties out there like myself who are thinking about the kids and making sure that they are prepared for the next generation? I find it hard to read. Honestly, I find it hard to read fiction books because I'm always in a nonfiction book. So I've like slowly got a couple new books this year to get me out of the zone of always self-help and other types of books. But I absolutely agree. Sometimes it is harder, especially when it's not your place, it's not your like for me, reading financial things is fun for me. So I definitely understand if that is not where you're going to. But I also have other suggestions when it comes to even podcasts. For me, I love Brown Ambition that has Tiffany Aliche and I drew all the blanks, Mandy. And they teach and educate in all different forms. And they have an Instagram where you can DM them and do all the things too and interact more with their community. But also, Tiffany Aliche also has a mentor mentee group where I'm actually a mentee for the last couple of years, where she has a Patreon and everything to help out young entrepreneurs. And I love the space, honestly. There's a lot more resources out there around financial education that I feel like some of us have not really been in the zone to realize, but I'm here to help and also be that source for you. So if you ever have questions around financial, where to read next or what else, let me know. So I have a couple things left, but I am wrapping it up. So those who have questions, please drop them. But this is just to wrap up what we talked about today. And also some old back in the day Twitter, now X, posts that I have on the screen now. But truly, make sure your essentials are prepared and paid for, but also think about your emergency funds along the way. How the budget is set up is making sure that you are prepared for 3 months, but I want your goal to think about it in a 6 month period because emergency funds is something that truly you never know when the emergency will happen. The goal is to make sure that you are in front of the emergency and have the funds prepared. And that's how exactly how you'll pay down the debt in a great amount of time because you are prioritizing how your money is being delegated. And that also includes investing. I know some of us have the thought process of investing is something you need to do once you get past everything else, but investing is also investing in yourself today. That is listening to the podcast, listening and educating yourself around finances. I love it. Yes, I just got Tiffany's book, and every client I have, I always tell people that I will send them. Yeah, every client has actually received one of Tiffany's books. So I love it, and she is absolutely a mentor for a reason. She changed Tiffany Aliche, if you don't know, she actually changed the law up in Virginia to make it mandatory for financial literacy to be in earlier education and not just in later in school. And that's exactly why I feel like financial literacy should be the normalcy and we shouldn't have to wait for it to hit as a law or anything else because the way that financial literacy is absolutely changing things today. And if you aren't educated, if you aren't prepared, you will never be able to be in front of it. So stay in front, always learn, and always check your bank accounts. At the end of the day, that is how you know you are managing your money wisely and how the positive money mindset is always going to be there. So I have a question for those who have been here this whole time and appreciate you for being here for the last hour. But I'm curious, what is your money mindset now that we have talked about money and been on the topic for the last hour? What is your money mindset now that we have wrapped up things today? Hey, I love it. Yeah, Tiffany is the bomb.com. I recommend everyone to always, Brown Ambition is always top tier for me because I'm a loyal listener and I will absolutely be the loyal supporter. So once again, let me know your financial mindset as of right now. Jada says her mindset is really scary topic. And I actually posted today on Instagram the fact that why is it so taboo to talk about finances when everybody has money? Thank you. Appreciate you. When it comes to personal finance and handling your money, mindset is absolutely everything. I also would suggest thinking about your money differently, even when it comes to your bills. Those are, even though you don't see the gas, the electricity, the internet, the Wi-Fi, all those things are still making sure you have a comfortable home when you go home. So I told my friends the other day, like, you think of it as you should get something in return. You already got it in return. You have the air, you have because it is a hot summer. You have all these things already, and be proud of the fact that you are able to pay the account every single time. Those are things that are a luxury that somebody else couldn't necessarily say. So I will say, if you are sticking around, this is just the first of many webinars. But if you stick around for many more, we'll go into this different stages of building your financial foundation. And within what it looks like in building your financial foundation, we'll cover everything from your short term to your long term and a little bit in between. We'll also start out with your SWOT analysis, where the weak areas are for you, and a little bit more. I appreciate you. It's such a good point. I don't know. I know me, for there is a lot of shame attached to my experiences with finances. Yes, and that's one of those moments where I feel like we could take this off of Zoom, take this off of TikTok, and talk more one-on-one, because the shame actually is certain things that you just have to change your habits and slow roll it. Take a deep breath, say the affirmations, because you are the one who's in charge of your funds and no one else can be. And I'm proud to say that this is the beginning of many more webinars and many more lives, because I want to make sure you are all educated. And when I say that, let's go into a little more detail of how we're going to get educated. So, stages of financial foundation for me is evaluating your current state, budgeting, and actually writing down those and adding it to your calendar, identifying your budget and archetype, which one makes sense for you, going into the target plan of action next of how we will delegate, make sure that those automations that we set up, make sure they make sense for you. As long as building out the plan to adjust, and also all those manifesting things that you are already doing, we're putting it into play. We're making an actual step-by-step plan for everything that we're going into. So my goal for you is stick around and know that this is just the beginning of many more financial foundation webinars, as well as personal finance. With myself, Deahna Joi, with Budgets by Joi, I want to make sure that you are always taken care of, and always know that my goal is to help you in the growth and the goals of everything that you have. I'm here for you. So I think there's a couple more slides. One of them, I want you to screenshot if you are on your phone. And a little bit more about me. So our services and products that we have are a budgeting app, which is actually partnered with Pocket Nest. So if those of you who don't want to do the spreadsheet or anything else, I will let you know the app, you go through your mental first. The app definitely is made for you to check on the things that you wouldn't necessarily check on, from those short-term goals to everything else, before you even get into the numbers. So we talk about, do you have life insurance? Do you have other things? And those are all things that you should think about for your full financial wellness. Other things that are products and services of my own outside of webinars is business packages, where I help you building grants and services for bookkeeping and accounting, as well as worksheets and many other things I have. I appreciate all those who are here and stuck around. And if those who are needing to get in contact with me, once again, take a screenshot of this now, get my number, email me, never hesitate, because my goal is to help you learn financial literacy is here for a normalcy. And once again, let's make saving money easy and not difficult. I'm here once again as Deahna Joi. Take a screenshots, do all the things. Appreciate y'all coming in. Oh, you're never late. I will absolutely have this recorded and presented onto my YouTube next. So don't ever, you're fine. You're not late. I absolutely will do this again. And I'm happy that you're here, because and if you're not part of my email list, please get into the email list, where all this information and those who are attending today have the opportunity to get the free budget, as well as this recording. So once again, hey everyone, I appreciate you all being here and sticking around. But yeah, I am here to answer any questions you may have and anything else. I am Deahna Joi with Budgets by Joi. My background is in accounting for the last 16 years, and I am also a grant writer as well. And grant writing for me is absolutely like the puzzle piece to everything. I enjoy doing grants because there's so many people who don't necessarily know that there's free money out there, and especially in their category of marketing or therapy, or even just being an accountant themselves. There's so many different categories out there in earning this money, but the goal is to make sure you're getting out there and applying. So there's a couple resources. I will also, if you weren't on the last email, I sent out a couple resources for grants, but I will be sending out another resource here soon for grant opportunities. So if you have any questions or anything else, never hesitate to reach out to me, Deahna Joi with Budgets by Joy. Thank you.
Sick of being broke, sick of being broke.
And
I'm sick of it, sick of it. Sometimes I can't turn off my brain, trying to figure out if I'm to blame. Cause money's late even though I do my part. People over 40 telling me to be smart, get a real job.